Hello everyone, Fluffy here. Well, as promised, another Fibro Friday. I apologize that it's coming out so late, but as some of you will probably remember, I had my stress test and my blood work done this morning. So I came home and kind of knocked out and been resting, but I knew it was getting late, so I jumped right on it and started filming. So episode 2, today's episode is fibromyalgia and depression. So let me start this video off by saying that I am not a doctor, I am not a nurse, I am in no way a part of the medical field whatsoever, and I don't claim to be an expert on fibromyalgia. This is merely me researching articles and how it relates to me in my life. So first of all, let me start by saying anyone that suffers from any kind of chronic illness, especially a pain illness, who wouldn't be depressed about it, right? One of the symptoms of fibromyalgia is neurological issues. Part of that is we process pain a little bit differently than most people. We get the fibro fog. The fibro fog comes through neurological issues and the lack of rested sleep that we should be getting, that regenerative sleep. So, is depression a symptom of fibromyalgia? Yes, it is. There are a lot of articles on the subject, from plain talking articles to very, I feel like, articles made for medical people. One article that I read, no, it's not this one, I think. Let me see which one was really good. All right, this is an article by WebMD, and I always encourage all of y'all to don't just take one web page's word on it. You know what I'm saying? Don't take their word as gospel. Everybody has a different opinion about fibromyalgia. The part about depression, they still haven't said, does depression cause fibromyalgia, or does fibromyalgia cause depression? Because a lot of the medical field still feels like fibromyalgia is caused by a major illness that you've had, physical trauma, sexual trauma, emotional trauma, or a combination of all of them. And so we can't go by me because I've had all of those. So they're still not sure, and there are some outlying doctors that feel it's more genetic, it's more medical than that. You see what I'm saying? So, but, you know, it's still out on whether depression causes fibro or does fibro cause depression. In my opinion, fibro causes depression. I think that continued stressors help move it along. I think that's very valid. So it says here that people with fibromyalgia are up to 3 times more likely to have depression at the time of their diagnosis than someone without fibromyalgia. And this should also say chronic fatigue syndrome, because chronic fatigue syndrome, they're almost identical in their symptoms. Some researchers study the effects of depression on brain chemistry. Others look at abnormalities of the sympathetic nervous system, the part of the nervous system that determines how you handle stress and emergencies. I know that as my fibro progresses, the longer that I have it, I'm stressed out a little easier. I get nervous a little bit quicker. Does it have something to do with my PTSD? I don't know. I don't know. You know, there's just so many facets to fibro, but they're definitely related. There is this article from them. It goes from what is depression. We all know what depression is. Let's see. Now, this part here on WebMD, I kind of question it, and this is just my personal opinion. I am not attacking the person who wrote this article on WebMD. And I'm keeping this up so that I can put the links in the description, the 2 links in here. One is plain talking, the one that I'm reading from WebMD, and the other one is more integral. It's more like it's in a doctor's book. So I'm going to go by this one more. It says, by following an appropriate fibromyalgia treatment plan and getting the support of family and friends, you can take control of your fibromyalgia. You can also get control over your symptoms of depression and improve your quality of life. All right, if they're talking about treatment from the medical field, there really is none. I mean, there are things that they are doing that they hope will help. Some are, but a lot of it is depression medication that they consider fibro treatments. The Cymbalta that I'm on is supposed to help with my fibro and my depression. It has helped my depression a lot. It's helped my fibro some, I must say. It does help the fibro some. Some symptoms of depression, let's just get into it. Loss of pleasure in enjoyable activities, weight loss or gain, low energy, feelings of guilt, a sense of worthlessness, and thoughts about death. A lot of these apply to people with fibro, probably the depression part of it. I know that we get pretty damn pissed off because we can't do the things that we used to do. And for me, I get more mad than I get sad. Does that make sense? But I'm sure that is also part of fibromyalgia. It says, what is depression? These thoughts, physical changes, and feelings interfere with daily life. Depression that lasts for weeks at a time may be characterized as major or clinical depression. There are other types of depression. Common types include chronic depression, known as dysthymia, bipolar depression, and seasonal depression, and seasonal affective disorder, SAD. I've never heard of that one. I think we have chronic depression. Is it clinical depression? Clinical depression, I think, is really, y'all let me know if you're wrong, or post links to articles that contradict what I'm saying, because I want to put out correct information. More chronic depression than clinical depression, I think, because the average guy can get clinical depression. What is the link between fibromyalgia and depression? Let's see what the WebMD has to say about that. Ooh, excuse me, out there. I got coffee. I had a big old caffeine headache when I woke up. I had to fast 10 to 12 hours for the blood work, but only 4 for the stress test. Okay. Distress for fibromyalgia, pain, and fatigue can cause anxiety and social isolation. The chronic deep muscle and tender points pain can result in less activity that causes you to become more withdrawn and can also lead to depression. It's also possible that anxiety and depression are part of fibromyalgia, just like the pain. Yes, they are. Depression and fibro can greatly interfere with the way you manage your activities at home or at work, so it is important to openly discuss any symptoms of depression you have with your doctors. Most definitely. Most definitely. Now, this part is the last page. I kind of skipped through because we kind of really touched base on fibro and depression. If you avoid treating fibromyalgia, you may descend into a spiral. The chronic pain and fatigue limits your physical activities and exercise. That in turn weakens your body. You may begin to feel isolated, fearful, suspicious, lonely, and afraid, which can strain relationship. As time goes on, your symptoms continue. You may have trouble keeping your job. Doing so can be especially difficult if you have many absences or errors because of your symptoms such as fatigue, concentration problems, and pain. And then it talks about then you would lose your income, and that would also, and that's basically what I said in the beginning. How can you not have fibromyalgia and not be depressed and angry about it? I've had people come on my channel and disagree. I have fibro and I push through and I'm not depressed, and you know, y'all just have to get up and do. To some degree, I kind of agree. You know, maybe they don't have depression. Maybe it is possible to have fibromyalgia and not be depressed about it. I'm not going to say that each and every one of us don't have it. The other article that I read, the other one that's more clinical, it was the paper, or this article was written back in 2011, and it said as much as 40% of fibromyalgia patients have depression. And that was back in 2011, and I can almost guarantee that it's more than that. Let me see. Let's ask Google. Maybe Google knows. I wish I would have found a more you know what I mean, a more updated how many people with fibromyalgia also have depression?
According to ADAA, about 20% who live with this chronic pain also suffer from an anxiety disorder or depression.
That's ADAA.org, I mean. Yeah, I think that's more than that, y'all. Just those that are on my channel, you use that group, and I believe it's at least 90% of us, right? So I don't know how they gather their criteria, because I'm sure a lot of men don't come forward. You know, they say that it's a lower percentage of men, that more women get fibro than men do, but I personally think if a man's not going to go to the doctor for a prostate exam, he's surely not going to go telling the doctor that he feels fatigue and pain every day. Not given the attitude about what a man should be, right? Again, just my personal opinion and observation. But this article back in 2011 says about 40%. And there's really nothing I really... because see, it says pathophysiology of fibromyalgia and depression. It says the underlying processes of both depression and fibromyalgia can be characterized by the lifetime course in an individualized individual person. These processes can be organized by the 3 P's of predisposing, precipitating, and perpetuating factors. Considerable evidence suggests that genetic and environmental factors predispose individuals to develop depression or fibromyalgia. There again, the people believe that fibro is caused by all the trauma in the beginning that I was telling you about. So that's basically what this is saying. Now, that other article that I'm saying, it's not treated, well, there's really no treatment, but, however, and you know I don't like Norco, those types of medications, but I'm not sure what this means about getting help and stuff, but you can treat yourself. You can try to do what you can yourself to try to help your physical self and thereby helping your depression. Now, if you have severe depression, I would encourage y'all to talk to your doctors about getting some help with that. You know, I got on the Cymbalta because I knew that my anxiety and my depression was getting bad enough that I could not deal with it on my own. Those of you that don't like taking medications for your fibromyalgia, I totally get it. But if you've tried everything that the articles suggest you do, or homeopathic things, and you say you've tried everything, then it's time to have a discussion with your doctors on how to start with lower medications. You don't have to jump straight to Norco. You see what I'm saying? Some of the things that I do, I think the one most important thing and the hardest thing for us to do as a fibro sufferer, fibro warrior, is to accept our condition as our new normal. I think missing our former selves, our self that could go out and do just about anything, you know, just run out of the house, take a road trip, work every day and enjoy what you're doing, being able to make every family gathering and things like that. It takes a toll on you. It does. It did me. I still have times where I hate the fact that I can't work. And I sit here and I try to get up and I try to do things, but I'm not as active as the kids are. And I say kids, they're both grown women, but much younger than me. But I felt like once I accepted and said, okay, I'm never going to be like I was before. Never going to happen unless they come up with a cure. And from what I understand, they're nowhere close. So, what do we do about that? Okay, you can't change it as far as curing it. So then what do? We accept our new lot in life, our new normal. So let's say we've accepted our new normal. Okay, it's never going to be this, you know, our old self again. What do we do now? You research. I found that article about essential oils and Epsom salt and, you know, the different things that oils do. Orange, I think, is supposed to help with your mind and help you feel happier. I have orange, and I've not really tried it. The thing that I had didn't work real good. I do know that lavender oil in a bath of Epsom salt, soaking in the tub as hot as water, I can stand it, helps me a great deal. Sometimes I have to take 2 baths in one night. I haven't had to do that in a long time, but when I first started with the soaking, that's what I had to do. And it worked. Now, did it take all my pain away? Of course not. It's not a cure. But it allowed me to relax enough that I got some relief. And that's what you're really going to. If you're at an 8 all the time in your pain, 8 or a 9 every day in your pain, okay, that's going to take a toll on you, especially an emotional toll. It is. It's going to take a toll. So even if you can drop it, if you're at an 8, even if you can take a hot bath in some lavender oil, with lavender oil in it, and it drops you to a 6, that's still better than staying at an 8, wouldn't you think? At least for me. That's my dryer being friendly, reminding us that the niece is doing laundry. So I'll excuse that. So for me, why wouldn't you try it? That's a pretty cheap solution, right? Or trial. Does it cost a whole lot to get Epsom salt? And Walmart has lavender oil. Is it the high quality lavender oil? No. But I have found that that helps about as much as the good stuff. So why wouldn't you try that? Also, to help me sleep. So, it can be very frustrating when you're lying there and you can't go to sleep. For me, excuse me, for me, if I get so frustrated, if you get yourself so worked up because you can't sleep, then you're never going to sleep, right? That's like trying to go to bed mad. You and your spouse or significant other gets into a fight and you gruffly go to bed and you just lie there and you stew. There's not a chance at all that you're going to go to sleep. Well, the same thing with fibromyalgia and our insomnia and things like that. The soaks in the tub do help me relax enough that I can go to sleep. It relieves the pain just enough that a lot of the times I can go to sleep. Now, most of the time these days, my fibro has progressed where I will take muscle relaxers. Now, I'm with y'all. I told you before, I don't like taking a lot of medications, but I had to concede because if I'm going to ask my rheumatologist for help, I've got to go by her suggestions. You see what I'm saying? And it wasn't unreasonable to take some muscle relaxers because that pain we all get that's on the shoulders and in between the shoulders, the muscle relaxers help me to relieve that as well. But on those occasions that I won't take the medication, because I always figure if I don't take it for a few days, and my roomie laughs and says there's no medical fact, but for me it works. If I don't take it for a few days, then I never really have to go past 2. You see what I'm saying? Because I feel like if you take a certain medication for so long, you need more. That's in my head, but the roomie says that there's no indication that that is true. So I'm just putting it out there. Then I lay there, and instead of trying to get frustrated, which, you know, I'm not perfect, I still end up getting frustrated, but I try really hard to just lie there and say, okay, I'm not going to go to sleep tonight, but at least I can relax. Okay? So I'm just in bed to rest. I'm not in bed to sleep. I'm just in bed to rest. So I'll lay down and I'll put my phone on and I'll put on some ASMR videos that I know help me. And most times, not every time, but most times, I can sleep. I'll wake up going, oh, I guess I finally fell asleep. Something else I do with the insomnia is if I can't sleep, then I just don't sleep. I'll stay in the bed, or if I don't want to get frustrated, then I'll sit up and I'll get on my computer and stuff, and then I'll say, okay, I can nap later. Because what are the symptoms of lack of sleep? They're all fibro symptoms, right? They're fuzzy-headed, fatigued, things like that. You know, sometimes you get joint pain from it, and those are all fibro symptoms. So even if you sleep and you wake up feeling that way, it's almost about the same thing, right? So I just stay up, okay? Now, I have the luxury, and I say it is a luxury. I realize how lucky as a fibro person that I am, that my kid is grown, the niece is grown, okay? I don't have puppies in the house. These are all adult dogs, so I don't have to chase after them. Well, little man, but y'all know that story. And I don't work. I mean, I wish I did, but I don't have that stressor of I can't sleep tonight, and oh my gosh, I've got to go to work in the morning. Okay? I totally understand that, but maybe try this on the weekends. And if you don't work, people don't like to take naps because they say, well, if I nap now, I won't sleep later. But if you're a fibro warrior, sleep is not guaranteed later. Does that make sense? So if you have the opportunity and you don't have to go to work and you have no obligations, or it's an obligation that you can get out of, and your body says, let's take a nap, take a nap. Now that one I had to learn from the kid because I felt a lot of guilt sleeping in the middle of the day. I'm a grown woman, right? So she would be like, Mom, if you have to take a nap, take a nap. And I thought, well, that's true because I can't guarantee it even if I stay up. With insomnia that comes with fibro, I'm not guaranteed to sleep later. So now I've missed my shot of getting some kind of rest in, some kind of sleep, because I'm afraid I won't sleep later. Now I get some of y'all don't have the luxury. Like I said, you have to sleep because even if you don't work, you know, you've got young children and you have got to get them off to school. So if you are a single parent, but you don't work, then, you know, I don't know what the answer is. Maybe you can ask a neighbor to take them. And if I wouldn't suggest driving if you're up all night, but then again, you don't have that luxury either. You're the only one that can take them. So do the best you can to get there and get back and maybe take a little nap. Maybe take a nap when you get home from work. You know, that's the time that you start talking to family or a friend that can help you after work, that you can take a little nap. You know, try freezer meals. They seem to help a lot of working mothers. Jen Chapin, she's a full-time working mom, and you know, she's got 2 young kids, and she doesn't have chronic illness, but she does a lot of make-ahead stuff where that really helps her when she gets off, because the kids have a lot of extracurricular activities. Well, our extracurricular activity is managing our fibro and our fibro pain and all the symptoms that comes up with it, right? So, I talked about how I try to fall asleep, what I do to relax, what I do to manage my pain. If I'm really having a bad day, then I don't move a whole lot. Now, they say, like arthritis, that if you move, you will feel better. And maybe some of you fibro warriors find that to be true. For me, it's fighting the fatigue to try to move. For me, and I know this, you know, this is probably the worst ever advice, but for me, to be still lowers my pain. If I don't move and I'm just sitting on my recliner, lifting my feet up and just being still, helps me a lot. Okay? But if moving helps you, and the only way that you're going to figure out which one works for you is to try. You know, they say with your joints and stuff, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I find that sometimes if I sit around too much in the day, then, you know, I get up to walk to the restroom and my knees hurt, you know, or my joints hurt a little bit more sometimes. So I'm not afraid to admit that. But, you know, like with my tattoo, I don't like doing things that I know cause me pain. So am I doing myself a disservice? I don't know, because then there's a couple of hours in the day that it's just not excruciating. To fight the depression or, no, I was going somewhere else with it. Hang on. Oh, yes. What also helps your fibro, and it also helps, I think, for me, is to try to reduce the stress as much as you can. And you say, well, Fluffy, you hit on all those things. I'm a young mother. My kids are young. I have a full-time job. You know, I've got a parent that's ailing. You know, my husband doesn't understand. I get all that. I get all that. You know, when I left the ex, I was constantly in a flare because of, you know, all the stress from that relationship, to where, you know, had we not split in a fight, it would not have been long before I would have said, this is enough. I have to walk away from it, because it got bad, you know, and I had myself to save, and that may sound selfish, and I think about it every now and again. Wow, should I have hung on longer, you know? But then I think, how much further would I have gone down myself? So, Fluffy, are you saying we should get a divorce? No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. You know, that works for me. But do what you can. Take some time for yourself. Find activities that maybe the kids can do after work. Put something in the crock pot. You know, find some crock pot meals. Even if you don't have an Instapot, get a crock pot meal. Put a friggin' whole chicken or a pack of chicken in the slow cooker. Throw some cream of mushroom soup on it. And let it go till you get home. It doesn't, you know, and then it's 7 minutes to cook some pasta? Okay, you know what I mean? And just let your kids eat, and during that time, just sit and do nothing. You know, or just sit on the floor and watch the kiddos. You know, just even 10 or 15 minutes after the kids go to sleep. You know, just sit and just be. Try to relax your mind. And you know, you say, that sounds all good and well. you know, Fluff, but I got a lot on my plate. I believe it, and I feel for those. You know, I wish I had a miracle pill for y'all. I wish I had a miracle pill for all of us. But doing the best you can to reduce your stress will help a great deal. And if you can't do it on your own, then I so encourage y'all to go have a candid conversation with your doctor and keep talking until he listens. That's where the be your own advocate comes in. And if he doesn't want to listen, then it's time to go looking for another doctor. I honestly believe that, and I'll stand flat-footed here and say, then you need to find another doctor. You're in a small town and you really can't afford to do that, then you just have to keep talking until you get him to realize. Show him articles, send him emails, until, you know, if nothing else, he'll get so sick of you, he'll do what you need him to do. You see what I'm saying? Because I would be every day sending him emails and articles that I found. Well, how about this? Well, how about that? So I hope I hit the depression and anxiety part of fibro. One last thing is that goes along with you're not wanting to, you know, you start getting fearful and, what does it say, isolated, lonely. That happens. That happens. And so I'm glad some of y'all are here, that we can all talk. When you manage your fibromyalgia, maybe going to the store when it's not as busy, so you don't feel like you're going to get bumped or you're feeling less anxious. Things like that. Go early in the morning. Yeah, Fluff, none of us get. Go later in the evening, you know, after the dinner rush or whatever, if you can. Y'all use the crap out of the Walmart grocery pickup to do some of your grocery shopping. That might help y'all. You sit there and you drive up there, and if you have small children and you've got to take them with you, then you don't have the added stress of getting them out of the car and going into the store and slapping hands. Yes, I slapped my daughter's hands when she tried to get... I did. And go through all of that. Just do the Walmart pickup. Minimum of $30 purchase. You know, you won't spend extra because, you know, you're not picking stuff up on a whim. And try that. So this was so not a medically forward video, but then I don't want them to be. I want to do a little research, make sure that what I'm telling you is right. I'm trying to tell you what I do to help myself, and a couple of y'all wanted the link between depression and fibromyalgia. I hope I was thorough enough. If not, I really want your input. You can ask me questions, and if I don't know them, I will try to find the answer for you, and I will put a link for you in our conversation in the comments. So I encourage everyone to read each other's comments. It might help you, or you might have some help for them, if that makes sense. I've been liking everybody engaging in the Fibro Fridays. So, God bless y'all. Positive vibes out to each and every one of you. Remember to always be kind and be your own advocate. Persevere. Perseverance is the channel word for 2020. Y'all keep going. Y'all move forward. And if you need some help with that, then you call a friend, and especially a medical professional that can help guide you through that. I love y'all, and I will talk to y'all real soon. Bye.